So let's join Tom Donkin in the World's newsroom for a full roundup. So who really went royal baby mad then, Tom?
Yeah, well, you know, both media were royal baby mad, old and new, Michelle. And watching it last night, looking through my Twitter feed, I've never seen the three words, "it's a boy," repeated so many times from so many people. So obviously a lot of people wanted to get engaged and get involved with the story. And we've been talking about this very issue up in the World's newsroom. I've got two guests who can shed some light on old and new media and how they've handled it. From BBC Social News, we have Mark Frankel, who's an assistant editor there. Now, Mark manages our BBC Breaking Twitter handle, and a lot of you follow that. So obviously there's a few hairy moments last night when the news broke. And from BBC Monitoring, we have Simona Karkova. Now, BBC Monitoring is an organisation which monitors all the international news for the BBC. And so Simona's been looking through some of the newspapers internationally. Now, Mark, I'll just come to you first. So they broke with protocol and they released a press statement. It wasn't actually the Easel that gave us the information. How did that affect the BBC Breaking Twitter handle last night?
Well, it was a last-minute change, but we were well prepared for the announcement. We had some pre-written lines. We were expecting an announcement, obviously, so the fact that it came via a press release was clearly new, was different, wasn't what we were expecting, but we were ready for it. And the first tweet that we sent out last night when the announcement came, when the press release came, did exceptionally well. It was retweeted about 10,000 times. One of our most successful tweets on BBC.
Really?
So clearly a lot of interest from the audience, as you say.
And I mean, this is the first royal baby born in the social media age, and it's going to have social media ever present from its birth up until its reign. People just want to get involved in the story, and Twitter is a way they can do that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's interesting to me is how many people, as you say, want to be part of the story as it's breaking. So last night, lots of sharing of photographs, people talking about the babies that they were having that day, or families talking about the fact that they knew somebody who was going into labour the same day. Lots of discussion around names, the fact that it was a boy and not a girl. Lots of trending terms on Twitter as well. So royal baby trending as we know, but also royal baby boy, as soon as the announcement came, was trending hugely on Twitter. And Twitter say that there were 2 million mentions of the royal baby following the announcement, and on Facebook as well. It's done phenomenally well. As I understand it, 3.5 million mentions on Facebook.
Yeah, I think for the world Facebook page, it's the biggest appetite for that story of its existence. So yeah. Just gives you an idea. Simona, just looking at some of the old media, or the traditional forms, the newspapers. I mean, this is a story that they obviously have to cover as well. How do they cover it differently? I mean, looking on Twitter, it seemed like everyone wanted to get their first gag in about the royal baby, but they're a bit more reverent and a bit more reflective in the newspapers, aren't they?
Indeed. I think you can say safely that media across the globe have been swept along by this baby fever, royal baby fever. Funny you should mention the timeliness as well, because, for example, in Russia, the news came a little bit too late for the leading papers to reflect the news. So we were really stuck this morning trying to find any good quotes to include in our international press review. It has been reported to various degrees. We noticed, obviously, Commonwealth countries reported it extensively in today's press editions. Obviously, the news carries additional resonance there, so we had a look at the front pages there. A lot of newspapers celebrating the sort of traditional values associated with monarchy, celebrating Canada's right to become part of the constitutional monarchy, which is quite nice. Australia, the same. Very big news in the States. We had a look again at the front pages there, so a lot of excitement.
But it's not everywhere that covers it, is it? I mean, the China Daily had the earthquake on the front page.
So when we had a look at the China press this morning, I think there was only one newspaper that actually carried the news. Front pages of China newspapers were more preoccupied with the devastating earthquake in the northwest of the country. So that was the news that we covered this morning.
Absolutely. And do you think newspapers have adapted and realised how they can differentiate their news when stories like this happen?
Yes, I mean, when we had a look at the sort of content that we had available this morning, we noticed that most of the comment and editorials, or even the front page news, the nature of it was more reflective. A lot of the papers were pondering the youngster's future, looking at what the future holds for the new prince. I think one of the Russian papers actually said that the frenzy doesn't stop here. It's not just the birth. we'll be looking at the name that the first boy,
Yeah.
the first girlfriend. It's quite interesting, really.
Absolutely. Guys, we'll have to leave it there, but it's obviously a massive difference between the two forms of media. And Michelle, just a sign of the times, on the Guardian's online page today, they have a Republican or Royal button which you can press, depending on how much coverage of this royal baby you actually want. Back to you.